What's really funny is I remember when we first did like the gold cards and offer base and a bunch of this stuff, we had that conversation for like literally half a second about, like patenting and all this stuff. So that way, you get your credit for it. And LaRussell was just like, I don't need credit. I know what I did. And if people are using it, then that means that we're impacting the music industry the way that we hoped for. Yeah. Like, that's what we want, for people to realize that they can do it on their own, or that there's more authentic approaches to it. I personally feel like that's what has been lacking in the music industry, especially hip hop. It's been a lot of like copy and paste kind of thing. And, at least with this approach, if they're copying LaRussell, at least they're copying somebody who's authentic, and it's kind of forcing them to look at themselves in an authentic way and realize like, wow, I don't have to, look like what I see on TV. I can actually just be myself and approach it from like a real life aspect. And I could really make it if I do the work.
I like giving back. It's all about the building.
Your community.
Exactly. I'm excited for this one. This is one that I've been waiting for a minute. It's something too that like I think doesn't get enough highlight. You know what I'm saying? Like being around you for a couple of, whether it's the shows, the backyard residency, and then I think three out here in SAC that I've been to for LaRussell, and then you were out here too. So I think it's a count of three, but. We right here with Tietta. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hypocritical A.I And Podcast. I'm your host, Albert Fig, and this week's episode is a special one. We got the honor and the privilege to be joined and blessed by the one and only boss, Tietta.
Wow, that was a hell of an intro.
Hey, love. I'm glad it's not triple digits. We'll start that one up top.
Sheesh, right?
It's been way too hot, you feel me? But I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I got to tell you, the reason I wanted to get you on and talk to you, a little bit more on depth one-on-one is because I feel like you're the person that a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't know. You feel me? Like, meaning like they watch the videos, they see you in the background, they know you by first name and everything, but they don't really know you and your background. And this is something that I had to ask myself too, because I'm like, yeah, Tietta, every time I see her, it's all love. I give her hugs. Every time I see her at the shows, it's all love. It's all hugs. We see her in the background. She working the camera. She's doing, you know what I'm saying? She's on the mic sometimes, but we don't really know her like as a person and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's something that I just wanted to like kind of pick apart, if that's okay.
Yep, I'm here for that.
Okay. So where are you from originally?
I'm from everywhere, so to speak. But I grew up in Ukiah, California, and then I moved to Clear Lake to live with my mom when I was like 14. Yeah. And I graduated high school there. And then I moved to the Bay, to Berkeley, when I was 17 to go to UC Berkeley, and I've been out here ever since.
Okay, Clear Lake has like a kind of a bad rep, ain't it? Like, I done been out there a few times, and every time I say Clear Lake, they always tell me, hey,
yeah, it's an interesting place.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always
There's
like,
actually a lot of Black people up there, though. I was surprised. Yeah,
like I'll go up there and like I said, they tell me two things. They say it's fires and drugs.
Yep.
And I go, okay, bet. Like that sounds like it's pretty much the same NorCal, like everywhere. It's like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I didn't think too much of it, but Clear Lake, interesting. Okay, I would have not figured that one. Okay.
Yeah, shout out to the lake.
Yeah. Okay. And the reason why I said too, like, where you from originally, because I've seen like I don't know if it was something that you posted or maybe a repost on Instagram, but you were saying like how I think it was in Atlanta, Unspoken, I think.
Yeah.
That's what it was, and you had said like they had asked you about like family, and you're like, Phew. You know what I mean? Like you're like, it's like a thing, and I can kind of like relate to that too. But I wanted to get you to kind of like expand upon that and talk about that experience. And like I said, since we're coming from background and everything and family, like what's that like for you? What's your family dynamic or situation?
Right now it's actually really good. I feel like over the last 2 years-ish, 2 to 5 years, it's gotten like a lot better. Me and my siblings have gotten a lot closer, and my mom.
Nice.
But yeah, I grew up in foster care. I went into foster care when I was 5. I came out when I was 13, 14-ish. I don't really remember. But and then I moved in with my mom, and it was like me, my mom, my brother, and then, other siblings in and out while they were figuring their life out. And then I graduated from high school there. It was kind of like, it was an interesting time being 13, 14 to like 17 because I had gone from not having like any level of freedom in foster care. Like I wasn't really allowed to stay at friends' houses or go out or anything. And then go into my mom's, and she was just like, "Well, I trust you," and I was just able to do whatever I wanted.
And those are crucial years. Those teenage years growing up, it's like you really like it's like a make or break point too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was a very explorative time in my life, so to speak. So I got to hang out with my friends. I got to I got to really have like the high school experience of like going out, going to parties, just being like free. I got a job when I was, it was so funny. I got a job when I was 14 and a half, exactly to the date. Because I used to go to the grocery store and be like, can I please work here? And he's like, well, you're not old enough legally. So, so he's like, but when you turn 14 and a half, I'll hire you because I appreciate like your consistency. I would go up there every week and be like, what about now? What about now?
Did you have to fill out a worker's permit or like that?
And I was only allowed to work like a minimum hours per week. And then, once I turned 15, I was like the youngest person that was working the cash register because I was really good with like customers and everything. And I worked for the rest of high school, and then I got into UC Berkeley. I actually did a college prep program called Upward Bound. And that was like really what changed like my trajectory. I feel like shout out to that program. That's a really great program for high school.
That's a dope program. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that's out there in the Bay too?
I feel like it's everywhere.
Oh, okay.
It's at like a lot of like what's called lower income high schools, I guess.
Okay.
So for like at-risk youth and things like that. So basically what they do is your freshman to senior year, you can apply to get into this program. You have to like interview with the like counselors for it and stuff. And they just, they prep you for college. So we do SAT, ACT prep. We explore colleges in the summer, and then we take college classes in the summer as well. And they just kind of teach us about like government and, the things that you're not really going to get in high school. Yeah. And it was really cool. It was like being an adult already, it felt like. And they helped me write my like essays to get in and helped me figure out what colleges I wanted to go to, if I wanted to go out of state, HBCU, and
that's amazing. Yeah, that is a good thing that maybe like a lot of people don't not know about. I feel like because I mean, me first time hearing, maybe I don't know, maybe just because of where I grew up and everything, but like you don't really get that. Like you don't really hear about.
I'd never heard of it. I went to Ukiah High for my freshman year, and then I went to Lower Lake High School my sophomore through senior, and they didn't have it at Ukiah High, so I had no idea what it was. But I knew I wanted to go to college because I felt like that was like the way out, and I was going to save my family.
Same. Yeah, so, I did. Yeah, I did that too. I went to call. Well, I went to my first one. I got kicked out of it. I went to my second one. And
you got kicked out of college?
I got kicked out. Ugh. It's a funny, long story. But basically, I had... so it boiled down to like, I had this older dude who was on like a board of the directors. And he was like scolding another student. It was one of my homies, right? And I was walking past by and I knew we were on like a tardiness level. Like you get 5 points or some shit like that. You have to repeat the semester or something like that, And I remember he was on his last point. So like I tapped him on the shoulder. I was just like, hey, don't be late, fool. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna get you. And I kept walking, but I guess homie took that as disrespect. And we was in the hallway and I just kept walking to my class. So he was calling me. I didn't know he was calling me. And cause we were a hallway full of people. And I was going, and then he just walked up on me and like grabbed me by the neck. And then I was like, what the fuck? And then like he pulled me in. He was like, yo, when I talk, like, well, he didn't say yo, but he was like, when I talk to you, you stop and listen. And I was like, get the fuck off me. You know what I mean? Like,
this is college?
This was college. And this was me. This was like, I'm talking about like 6 months removed from like the military because I had got out the army. So I'm like 6 months removed and homie's grabbing me like that. And then,
that's crazy.
Yeah. And I was like, so he said I threatened him, which all I told him was, I was like, if you grab me again, we're going to have problems. Don't do that to me. I'm like 21 at the time,
You're
like,
grown as hell.
I'm like, no, like, don't do that to me. And so he lied and said that he smelled, to cover him, I feel like. So I walked away. I just left the whole campus in general. I was like, I'm not trying to get in any trouble. I dipped off back to my spot. And he called the cops. He said he smelled alcohol in my breath. And that he wanted to come here to get drug tested and swore I was on drugs. And it was just like the whole thing.
But you were grown. That's crazy. I was grown. Yeah. And you're in college. It's like if somebody wants to drink before class, that's on them.
And the cool part about it was that it was 10 a.m. It was an early ass class, 10 a.m. Like, what the, I'm not gonna be sipping like that. And
But
show up,
even
you know
if
what I
you
mean?
were,
and even
you were
if,
21.
Yeah, I was 21 years old.
in college.
What is
That's
homie
crazy.
talking about? Yeah, so that was the first one. But I pursued after that my associates, and I feel what you're saying though, as far as like feeling like that was the thing, because at that time I honestly wasn't doing it for me. I was more so doing it for my mom, because I was the first person in my family to graduate high school, and then I was the first person to go to college and actually pursue it, and then I was just like, she was like, you know, super proud, and I was like, I'm doing this for you. And I didn't really feel like I was doing it for me. I was doing it for her. And then afterwards, when I graduated, I didn't walk the stage or anything. But like Lily will get, my girl, she'll get on me too, because I don't really like talk about it too much or hold my degree up or anything like that, because I can't really say that it's hold actual value. And it's tough to say that, you know what I mean, to people, because they don't be understanding.
I had done a clip during the Free Game Friday where I said like college is a scam, and they were in the comments upset. But I was just like, bro, if you're not trying to be a doctor or something where it's like you really need to go through all of those years, like I went to college for film and media. Like it's just it was a waste of my time. It wasn't a waste of my time, but I could have gone without. But what I did come to learn, you know, after really thinking about it, was that college really taught me time management, and it taught me how to organize my life and organize a lot of things at once, because you're taking a lot of classes, you're learning a lot of information. So yeah, it gave me valuable life skills for sure, and that's something that that I will give to my college career.
And it makes sense too. Actually, you can see how you apply it to what you're doing right now. You know what I mean? Especially with time management. Time management, I feel like, is super important. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like to play with people's time. And I mean, we'll get into, you know, to that, what you do and everything. So you can definitely see with that. But that's amazing. And how did that come about as far as like getting into like the music aspect? Because I know you said film.
Yeah.
So how did it get to music?
Yeah, well, initially when I went to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I got accepted into 2 colleges that I was like, I might go to. I was going to go to San Jose State, and I got into the business program there. And then I got into UC Berkeley undeclared. Yeah. But everybody's like, you got to go to UC Berkeley. It's like, you know, this big deal. So I was like, well, I guess I will. But part of me was scared, because I was like, well, I'm not guaranteed any program. I have to apply once I get there. Whereas San Jose State, at least I would already be in the business program and my career would kind of already be set. Yeah. So I got to Berkeley, and of course, my fear came true. I was just taking classes that I liked and that I was interested in, but I wasn't doing well. I was just doing average. And, you know, they're like, C's get degrees, but C's don't get you into your programs. C's just get you a degree. So very soon, my college counselor was like, well, you're not going to be able to get into like the media studies program because your GPA is not high enough, and it's like an impacted major, meaning a lot of people apply to get in. So I was like, well, what can I get a degree in? And she's like, well, you can do film. And it actually was like the best thing that ever happened to me. I took my first film class and I was like, this is amazing. Like I was already in my head breaking down film and picking it apart and applying it to like society, and why do they choose this shot, or why are they depicting this girl like this, or why is the love interest this way, in my head. So then to write papers on it was like, this is great. Like I loved my film classes. It was really general ed that was the worst part. Yeah. But so I did the film thing, and I met somebody who, in high school, I worked on the football team to help like organize practices and stuff. So I already had a football background, and I met a girl in my foster care program on campus who was like, well, I work for the football team and I do film. If you want to get a job, I can get you a job there. And I was like, hell yeah, I need a job in college. So, and I was like, I already have a football background, so that's perfect. And I started working there, and I started filming practices and filming games, and then ended up getting into the film major. And I was like, well, this is great. I think I want to be like a film director or something. And then, you know, COVID hit, and my college class, the first college class that I got to take that actually allowed me to write a script, and I was going to be able to direct my own script and then produce a classmate's. It got canceled because of COVID. So everybody was like finishing from home, and we didn't get to shoot any of our stuff. We just kind of like pitched our idea in class instead. So I never got any of that like actual practice. And then when I went to do other like film programs, it was like, well, you don't have a film reel or you don't have any actual experience. So I was like, well, what else do I love? And I was like, well, I really, really love music. Music has been a really big part of my life. Like, I remember when I was in foster care and I was just like, you know, going through the woes of like that whole experience. Music was something that really grounded me. And like, I remember in my room crying to music or like dancing around to music or just drowning out the world to music. So it played such a pivotal role in my life that I was like, I want to have the rest of my life be surrounded by this. It's been so important to me. So I started looking for music, anything in the Bay. And I found Thizzler on the roof. They were hiring for like an A&R. I don't even remember what it was, but I ended up getting a job as an A&R there. And that's kind of like where my music journey started.
I feel that. Yeah. You know, that's a dope thing because as a music fan, that's something we, you know, like you said, that you want to indulge in and dive deep into and everything.
Yeah.
And you're like on the front lines literally for it and everything, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's really cool because I know the story. Like I've heard you talk about like, you know, linking up with LaRussell and finding him and everything. And I think was really interesting, was really cool was when you're able to, is what you said, you know, and I don't want to speak for you, but what you essentially said when you found him was just like, you're dope. How come you're not getting as much attention and everything, right?
Yeah.
I, you know, found him a little later than you did, you know what I mean? I told LaRussell when he was here, you know, like how I found him and one of the things was the same exact thing that I said. I seen his freestyle and I was like, what the fuck? Like,
right.
Why don't
should have billions of views?
I'm like, why don't anybody like you know what I mean? And then and then once I dove deep, like I told him I did a deep dive and everything, and I started seeing like my homie Plus, C Plus was you know had been tapped in already. My homie Josh was like deep diving already too, and then ever since then, like after everybody who I was like, you know, who had a set of ears, I was like, yo, you should trip out on LaRussell. I was talking to my sister and my brother, and I was like, yo, trip out on this. I was like, Mom, look at I'm gonna get this guy on the podcast. I was like, I'm gonna get him on the podcast. Watch, I'm gonna get him on the podcast. And then I remember even further than that, I saw him like, I mean, I don't even know if, I mean, by the way, we should say LaRussell's in the back. I'm over here talking. Right. You know what I mean, he's like third party. He's right here. But I saw like a clip. He was like in high school, like freestyle battling with someone.
And it was hard.
Yeah, and I was just like, what is going on? Like this is the first time, but I had to like search. It wasn't some shit that was just on Instagram. I had to search to find it. You know what I mean? And then I was just like, nah, he hard. Like ever since then. So that's instantly how I became a fan. And I've said plenty of times on the podcast how much he doesn't know, but he's truly a mentor to me. And I follow his blueprint for a lot of stuff. And I try to emulate it myself, you know? So that's I guess the common theme here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what I think is super cool and which I wanted to get into and segue into was one time specifically Sway in the Morning, right? Sway's Universe. How did you feel?
That was great.
How did you feel on that freestyle when LaRussell says, you know, ain't nobody working hard as me except T? How did you feel when you heard that?
Extreme gratitude. Yeah. Extreme gratitude. It was really dope to like, I feel like it's dope to be in anybody's rap, right? But for it to be on Sway was incredible. But really the moment that was like, holy shit, was when, oh man, I do not remember her name. Tracy. Yes, Tracy. When she was like, LaRussell, who's T? Yep. And I was like, oh my God. And he answered and he just explained it in such a way that was like, damn, you don't really realize how much impact, like, I mean, I know how much work I did, but you don't realize how much somebody values it until they talk about you like that, you know? Like, you can assume all you want, but for somebody to say that and then in the middle of a platform that's, like, that was his moment. Yeah. And for him to put a spotlight on me in that moment was just, it was incredible. Amazing. I was extremely grateful.
Yeah. Yeah, and I asked that too because I was trying to, like, outside in, I'm just like, when she said, because I heard that too, she was like, who's T? Who's Tietta? I was like, Tietta, you know what I mean? Like
I was over there cheesing so hard.
It popped up right away. So it was, I thought that was super cool. And I thought that was a super cool moment for you. And because like I said, in the sidelines, you know, people always been like, in the back, you're either on the camera or sometimes you're on stage with the mic or whether it's, you know, doing some of the poetry on the track and an intro, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things that, you know, I feel like everybody, you know, they want to get their flowers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want to do it. I mean, we want to get it, especially when it's due, and it's definitely due for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No worries. Okay, so so it's hard to say, like, I think you had talked about it one time too. You were talking about titles. It's hard to say exactly or to put a title on you to be like, you do this and you do that. I mean, there's a bunch of different things that you do, whether it's, social media marketing, artist development, brand awareness, brand development. There's a lot of different things, you know what I'm saying? Before I kind of dive in each one of those, I want to ask you too, because I've been waiting to ask this one for a minute now, and I feel like it's a proper time because the amount of time has passed. Okay, so as a artist development, right, or as artist developer, how did you feel when Metta rolled out the subscription base, the Metta Verified? Because I never heard you guys talk about it.
I really didn't have any. It didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a lot of people, like, they felt away.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was just one of those things that was like, it's their platform and we're playing by their rules. You know, if you don't like what somebody is doing with their thing, then build your own. And I didn't see it like hurting anybody. If anything, it gave people an opportunity to be seen more. I personally wouldn't pay for the check. I would just do the work. But for some people, I feel like they thought that if you get the blue check, then you're more likely to have somebody like look at your page or something, which I think is real because I find myself even like clicking on people who have blue checks to be like, I wonder who they are or what they did to get that check. And then I'll look at their page and they'll have like 200 followers and I'll be like, oh yeah, you can pay for these. And then I'll click off their page. But before, it used to have that power of like relevancy, I guess, to where you knew, okay, this person is somebody, because to get the blue check, you had to have articles written about you. You had to be a public figure in some sense to where you needed your identity verified because somebody could be trying to impersonate you. So you get your account verified. And the only way you can get it verified is if you had articles and interviews and all of these like public records to say that this is you and this is your account.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's hurtful to anybody. If anything, it just lets, the little guys feel big.
I can see the pros and cons and the benefits. Like I've talked about on the podcast before about like I can see why a person would want it for reach and everything. And then I have a few homies of mine that are like realtors or the artists, independent artists, and they're just they'll break it down to explain to me that like this is their way to get the reach. You know what I mean? And so I definitely see that. But now that time has passed in it and you see like the kind of like a bit of a fall off, you know what I'm saying? Would you like now that you have, cause you're taking on, are you still actively taking on clients or did you put on hold?
I haven't been lately, but it's been on my list of like, I need to get that back going. Okay.
So if you have
soon.
So how would you suggest that though? Like if they were to ask you, like now that, like I said, some time has passed and we kind of know, understand it a bit, would you suggest it to them? Like
to pay for it?
Yeah.
I have seen other content creators say that the subscription has its benefits. I've seen it more so on like Twitter. It allows you to like show up, like at the top of people's like queues or whatever and all this stuff. I personally don't see the benefit of it. I wouldn't suggest it if somebody was like, do you think I should pay for this? It's going to help me, get bigger and grow my base. I think that it's kind of like a shortcut. Like people want to do everything but the work, so it's like.
Do you think it's detrimental when they don't? As if you don't, because like I've heard the other fallback and people have been like, I didn't get it, and ever since they didn't get it, and I think I'm one of those included. Maybe I just maybe making excuses, but they were telling me too once they got an invitation for it, and when they declined it, they just saw like their page kind of activity kind of go down a bit.
I don't think so. Yeah. I didn't pay for it, and I get great engagement on my page. So I think it's just make great content. Just be consistent. That's really all it comes down to. I think sometimes we want to blame everything outside of ourselves when really the only thing that you have control over is yourself and the work that you put in. So if you're looking for outside excuses, that's probably a sign that you just need to be working harder.
True. That is true. So now that you're around, being indulged with good company and then, being on the road so much with LaRussell and doing everything that you do, I noticed that like you guys are more and more, I guess, closer to the system, or you know what I mean, or the industry, quote unquote, you know?
What makes you say that?
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you guys are like, I mean, like, you're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and each time you're getting closer. Meaning, like, how could I say it? More exposed to it. You know what I'm saying? So, you ever heard the term about when people say, you know, don't meet your idols, you know, you get disappointed? You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So I'm wondering, with all this exposure that you're getting towards, you know, the industry, or not even maybe necessarily exposure, but as you're like getting closer to that and being around mixed with people from the industry and everything, do you feel at all like kind of put back by it now that the curtains are a little bit, you know, pushed to the side, now that you're seeing more of the business aspect of things, where you be like, do you ever get like let down a bit?
I never was excited about like the glitz and the glam. I mean, I like nice things, don't get me wrong, but like the industry, like, you know, celebrity parties or all of the, I don't even know what people be excited about, but not really. I just want to live a great life where I don't have to struggle. And that's why I work so hard. Like, it was never to get into the industry and be famous. And like, I say that all the time. Like, I didn't have any interest on being in front of the camera or being famous or anything. Like, I just want to be able to take care of my family and my loved ones.
Gotcha. Yeah. Now that's that too, because I'm talking about very minimal, like kind of exposed to it, you know, very minimal. But the more I saw certain things and like process or steps they were suggesting me to do and everything, I kind of got put off on it.
I feel like it's exactly how I expected it to be. And which is why I was never excited. It's like, I've seen you. I've seen you my whole life. Like, everything that you think it is. And like, when you're idolizing it in your brain, it's like, then you set yourself up to be let down. But I guess I'm kind of like a realist in a way. I don't really like to put labels on myself, so I'm not a realist, but I look at things realistically.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like that's real. And I think in that, it's just, you're just cutting out the bullshit. You know what I mean? You're just really direct and straightforward with a lot of stuff.
There's so many like politics and things that go into stuff that's just like, I'd rather just kick it with my homies and keep building. Like, I don't want to do anything that I don't want to do.
Yeah. So. Well, yeah, because I say that too, because the more and more platforms that you guys go on, and I listen to a lot of the, you know, LaRussell interviews, and I feel like a lot of them are kind of still not understanding or grasping what he's doing and the wave and what y'all are building. You know, I feel like a lot of them just don't. I feel like they're stuck on a certain way of doing things, traditionally speaking. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's this route, you go do this, you do this and that. And I feel like what LaRussell's doing and what y'all are doing, it's, you know, molding things and becoming the wave. We is the wave, like he says, you know? Yeah. So I feel like a lot of times when I listen to the interviews, again, this is just me from a listener. I'm not saying I'm, you know, critiquing it. Just as a listener, I'm just like, oh, they just don't understand it yet, or they just don't know what he's, you know what I mean, what he's doing. And that's what I was kind of getting at too, what I mean about like behind closed doors and everything, because I know you there too, and I'm wondering if at all it gets kind of like off-putting. You know what I mean? You're just like,
There's been a standard of the way that they do things for so long, so I'm never surprised when they don't get it. It's like, of course you don't. Of course it doesn't make sense to you. Like, you've been doing things this way for this long, and you have proof of concept on this route, you know?
Yeah.
And when people come along and they're doing something new and different, there's people who are excited about change and who are like, oh yeah, I want to join this. I want to try it out. I'm excited to see where it goes. And there's some people who like the safety of knowing, and they're like, no, I'm going to stick with what's been set in stone and what has been proven to work for all this time. And, you know, if that does work, well, good for you. But I'll be over here where I know things are gonna work. So I don't really blame anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely feel exactly where you're coming from with that. And it's a thing, you know. It's just not the norm for them, you know. Yeah. But then again, what is the norm? And
once they see proof of concept, we were just talking about this the other day. He's like, do you think I should like go on tour? Like, what's the benefit of, you know, doing all of these shows? And I was like, well, proof of concept, I guess. It's like the more that you do it, the more that you can prove like, yes, this offer-based system works. Yes, not just going out and going to every single show just for money works, you know, like going to places where you know you're loved and spaces that you actually want to go to instead of like, oh, well, I got booked for this show here, so I'm just going to, you know, pop out or whatever. Like, I think every time that he chooses to do things his way instead of the way that has been done before or the way that everybody tells him they should, he's proving his concept correct, you know?
Facts. Yeah, nice facts. So with you too, being around so much artists and everything, how does it get for you? Like, we said earlier how much like you love music and your passion for it. And I know poetry, you know what I mean, that you're into and it's your way. I think you said one time that's like your way of expressing, you know?
Yeah.
How does that not get you like not wanting to be like, I want to write some stuff, I want to perform, and then kind of hold yourself back and not, you know, like, or try not to overstep maybe? Like, how do you navigate through that, like feelings wise?
I don't have a fear of overstepping anymore because LaRussell is very great at making space for everybody. He never makes you feel like, oh, you're just this, like stay in your place kind of thing. So it's like I had put myself in a box initially and I was like scared to do poetry or like whatever. But I mean, he's the reason why I'm even on that album. He was like, write something. And then he really put me on it, you know? So yeah, that doesn't exist. I do write very often. The reason I don't share it is still like a me thing of being afraid. And I've been trying really hard to like, every time I'm afraid of something that's not real, like that can't cause me real harm, like walking in front of a car or fighting a grizzly bear. It's like, okay, don't do those things because you could get hurt. But when it's like a false fear, I try really hard to like just do it, you know? So I'm actually going to be performing my poetry. Shout out to Poozy.
Hey, there we go.
At Jazzy Nights on August 25th. So that'll be my first time ever performing like publicly. I've done a few with Good Company. And that's been nerve-wracking. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm scared. But I'm going to do it because I'm scared.
Okay, that's dope. Yeah. I think there's a big life lesson in learning from, you know, fear and going about fear and navigating it and, you know, facing it head on, because I am also in that boat too, where it's the opening up aspect of things, you know, especially being on a platform like this podcast, where sometimes I have guests on and sometimes I'll have a group on and sometimes it's just a solo one. It's just me. It's very vulnerable because you're here by yourself. And if you're fortunate enough to have, you know, a whole team and everything, you can get some dialogue back and forth and can kind of, you know, go back and forth with. But when you're right here solo, at a lot of times, it's like a love-hate thing. It's like, I love it, you know what I'm saying? Because it's I know I'm like, it's that vulnerability in it, but I hate it too at the same time because it's just that little moments of fear. I mean, it's not a hate thing for long. It's just a little, I'm like, okay, I'm about to do the solo one, you know what I mean? And then you get over it though, you know? So it's the teaching aspect of it that I think is really beneficial. Yeah. And
every time you face your fear, that fear dies a little bit, you know? Yes. And then you're able, like the next time you're afraid of something, that hesitancy lasts for a lot. Like it doesn't last as long, you know? Like I used to be afraid to do things and I'd just be like, nah, I'm not going to do it. And I notice every time I face my fear, the next time I'm afraid of something, it's a lot easier for me to like hush that fear. Whereas before it would take me weeks or months to be able to get past it. Now I can get through it a lot quicker because I just keep working through it.
Yeah. I mean, it helps, like you said, like with all the artists you guys that you're around specifically, it's hard to not be motivated. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And then the energy and the people, and like you said, like all the love that you're getting, well, you know, that y'all are getting right there. It's tough to like not want to be motivated from that and want to encourage people and, you know, understand that what's being made and what's being built right there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's a beautiful thing, really. And I do think that the poetry aspect of it, I'm excited for that one. You know what I mean? I think you should open up a little more with that one, even with the lives. Like last time you were on the live, you know, you were kind of like just being you know, like opening up, showing people, you know what I mean, like what's in front of you with the computer and you're taking questions on. So
that was pretty cool. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think that's what you should you know, you should get back on. I know you said, you know, I'm breaking the shell a little bit and getting out more. But I think you should like, tack it head on and show more of yourself and your personality for everything.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been really cool. I have a very cool fan base. Yeah. I love them. They're so supportive of me and so kind. I've yet to really experience the opposite side of the internet that I know exists and is out there. And I see it on LaRussell's page a lot. It's like, bro, why are you hating? Yeah, and I haven't experienced that yet. So I'm like very, very grateful for my following and the people who do choose to support me. Because every time they encourage me, it quiets that fear a little bit more. Yeah. And I can do things like go on live and actually like initially I was nervous. And then I ended up being on there for like an hour just talking and hanging out with everybody. So that was cool.
Yeah, it was damn near like a whole hour.
Yeah, it was like an hour. I was just going to go on for a little bit just to kill time.
Yeah,
and
I was just kicking it too. And I seen I was just like, let me shoot some questions too. Shit, because I want to know some stuff too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was really cool.
I think that's that one aspect that you would excel on. You know what I mean? So shouts out to you for that one. But what else, other than all that? So I want to get back to like what you do and everything. So with whether it's social media, kind of marketing and then the scheduling stuff that you've, essentially created. And I feel like it's been a little bit, dare I say, pioneered a bit, because I mean, I've been approached from like companies to be like, we could do all this for you, send them out, blah, blah. And I don't know much about it. I'll be honest. I don't, it's kind of out of my leeway, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I can outsource that, you know what I mean? Do something like that. And that's advice that I've gone for a few people. But for that, with you, everything that you're doing, how do you go about it now? I know you like one of the free game Fridays you were saying like how there's no specific like pattern that you guys are doing everything. You're doing like the 7 a.m., the 9 a.m., the 11 a.m.s, but besides the schedule, like timing wise, like how do you navigate through all that for your own, whether you're having someone else on, you know what I mean? Like,
day by day.
Yeah, it's a tedious task, right?
Day. Yeah, honestly, the way that my brain works is I take something that is very large and then I just figure out how to chunk it down into workable sections until the overall task is complete, right? So we'll do a long form piece of content like a show. Mm-hmm. And then lately LaRussell's been helping edit again too. But like he'll cut down clips of all of his favorite ones and then he'll send them to me and I will get them into social media format for TikTok, Twitter, and all the works. And, cut out any like extra stuff that doesn't need to be there, create thumbs, get the lyrics together, and then I'll send them off to our editing team and they'll add captions and then they'll send them back to me. And all the ones that I'll like look through them, make sure I love them. All the ones that I love, I'll schedule in Asana, which is like a team-based app. Mm-hmm. Really, it's just me. But they have this calendar in there that allows you to create like tasks. And so I can name them and I can just move them around in a way that's like a lot easier than like a spreadsheet or something where you can't like drag text. You have to like copy it and move it and stuff. So it's just like a lot more interactive for me and I can color coordinate it. I'm a very like visual person. So I'll schedule out in Asana and then once it's in Asana, I usually schedule like week by week, especially because LaRussell's a very like, whatever I'm on today kind of person. So I don't like to schedule out too far because then I'm like moving a bunch of stuff around. But yeah, every week I'll go into Hootsuite and I will schedule through there and then it will auto post to Twitter, Instagram sometimes and TikTok. And then I will manually upload to YouTube. Mm-hmm. And that's how I get all the content out. If it's a live session that we did with a different artist, then I will also upload to DSPs and I will send out a split sheet so they know what split they're getting on the DSP end. I just do that every single day. Every single day. Yeah, we have an abundance of content. Like, I feel like we have enough content for the rest of our lives. Honestly.
Oh yeah, I mean, you show on the live you were showing like the folders. You're like, they ain't even touched these yet.
Yeah, it is a lot, and like every rehearsal adds like another at least 15 to 20 pieces of content, and then a rehearsal usually happens before a show. So now that's about 50 pieces of content with those two together. So. Yeah, we have enough for the rest of our lives, for sure.
Well, plenty more to come.
Yeah. And then interviews. That's not even including interviews and stuff.
One, breaking down the pieces and everything.
But lately I've been getting up, we were talking about this earlier, at 5 a.m. because I just noticed that I didn't feel like there was enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
And there's always 24, but it's what are you doing with them, you know? And I just wasn't getting up early enough. So now getting up at 5 a.m., I can start my day by about 7 and eat and be sitting down at my desk by 8. And I've been trying to approach it with like, okay, what's for T? What does she want to do? What does she need to do for herself and for her business, and what I'm trying to build as an individual? And then by about 11, I will start on all of like LaRussell Good Company tasks and try and knock those out. And then, try to end my day by about 6 so I can eat dinner and then go to sleep by 9 and
don't forget
start
the
it all
daily
over
affirmations
again
in the morning too.
Yeah.
The daily affirmations. You know what I mean? You
yeah, I've been reading and trying to learn how to play the piano. It's something I wanted to do since I was a kid. So I've been doing that in the morning. It's been really nice.
Hokage-sama could like shoot you some shit, you know? Because I know, yeah, because that shit's hard. I tried one time and I'm like, I'm still learning this.
I was like, teach me. And he was like, right. And then right as I said it, I was like, you want somebody to teach you and you haven't even got yourself your own piano and tried yourself. But you want somebody else to spend their time teaching you to do something. So that was why I was like, I need to just get it myself and practice on my own. Like, why would I ask somebody else to teach me to do something I can do myself?
Facts. Well, there's a going into that too, is about that mindset of wanting to teach and yourself and learning from it and everything. It goes back to like what I was saying earlier about the pioneer aspect, for pioneering aspect of it, because there's a lot of stuff that you yourself specifically, but in totality with Good Company that y'all are doing that are paving a lot of the ways, not just locally, but from the music industry, that you'll see that maybe you guys are not getting your due diligence, your credit for. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of stuff I've seen just, again, from the outside person looking in and from a customer and an audience, I could see where it's like, oh, I wonder where they got that from.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I wonder where, you know what I'm saying?
What's really funny is I remember when we first did like the gold cards and offer base and a bunch of this stuff, we had that conversation for like literally half a second about, like patenting and all this stuff. So that way, you get your credit for it. And LaRussell was just like, I don't need credit. I know what I did. And if people are using it, then that means that we're impacting the music industry the way that we hoped for. Yeah. Like, that's what we want, for people to realize that they can do it on their own, or that there's more authentic approaches to it. I personally feel like that's what has been lacking in the music industry, especially hip hop. It's been a lot of like copy and paste kind of thing. And at least with this approach, if they're copying LaRussell, at least they're copying somebody who's authentic, and it's kind of forcing them to look at themselves in an authentic way and realize like, wow, I don't have to, look like what I see on TV. I can actually just be myself and approach it from like a real life aspect. And I could really make it if I do the work.
Piggybacking off in that, I'm curious on this one too. What is it's kind of a mix of two things, but what's like your personal goal or goals for Good Company? Like, you got your own one, which I'm going to branch off into, but what's your own personal things that you would like to see with Good Company?
I feel like we're doing it now. Yeah. My vision, it's funny, he had asked me that before too, and I was like, I imagine the compound that we're building right now, where we just kind of have this artist center where when we find somebody that we love, we can do everything for them in that moment. We can show them how to set up merch, help them get designs. We'll have a studio where they can record, they can, hang out and play basketball and play tennis and just be in a creative space that allows them to just kind of breathe for a moment. People, being an artist is very difficult. It looks fun. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just sharing my art, but it's also like you're sharing your heart too. Yes. And that can be very taxing and difficult. And when it's real, it's your life. It's not just a career. Like, you don't clock into your music job. It's 24/7. And to have a space where they can just breathe and feel taken care of and feel seen and feel like I can be supported is everything that I hoped we would build and that we are building.
Yeah, it's in the process currently.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, in that too, what's your own personal goals that you see for yourself too? Because you're branching off, you know what I mean? You're quote unquote, where they say like you're letting those wings fly right now, you know what I'm saying? So what personal goals do you have for yourself, for Tietta?
I just want to help as many people as possible. I just want to impact as many lives as I can. you know? And when I'm done here, I want there to be generations of people whose lives are better because they met me or saw me or were affected by the work that I do.
And I think it's really cool that you're able to embrace people head on, like, you know, and maybe I'm just speaking from me, me personally, but the fact that you can know people and be like, hey, and give them a hug and then make them not feel like a stranger. You know what I'm saying? Assuming that
I love that you feel like that. Yes. Sometimes I feel like I don't do that.
Yeah,
so thank you.
No, it's real. It's real. So,
I'm always really nervous. In the back of my head, I'm always like, I hope people don't think I'm mean. I'll get like I want to like stand in the corner and I'll have to remind myself like, people are excited to meet you. Yeah. You should embrace them with that because people could not like you at all. Like they could be like, God, I wish she wasn't here, you know? So it's like, you should be glad that people love you and are excited to meet you and love the work that you do. And that always like, I'll feel like a little wallflower for a little bit. And then at a show or something, somebody will be like, T! And it'll remind me like, oh yeah. You're doing great work out there.
Doing great work, especially like I said, and then performing too. You know, performing too. Maybe the next one on stage is poetry. I want to go to that one. You said 25th, August 25th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yep.
Bet. Dope.
Yeah, Poosie's been creating his own show. It's called Jazzy Nights, and I think he does them once a month, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been really building something really dope.
Bet. Okay, I'll definitely have to pull up to that one. Okay. I got to tell you guys, I'll tell you a little bit off air about how, speaking about the pioneer thinking of something you guys are like, was kind of building, no, not building. You've motivated. I'll tell you about a plan that I want to do that like,
just get somebody to steal it.
Yeah. I don't want to like, no, not the steal thingy, but it's because like, I want to involve people in the podcast fam and I want them to be involved in it too. And part of like the building process of it and what we have, because it involves other podcasters who have been on the podcast and they y'all been on round two. So I don't want to like step on their toes either. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying? But so man, I'm hopeful that a lot of people can get to know you a little bit more. And then other than just Tietta that they see in Good Company, I wanted them to know Tietta the person, you know, like your music background, your love for the music, school, and a little bit on the family stuff. Not too crazy because I trust me, I know. You know, if you go down that family cycle, how that can go. But anything else you think, though, that you want to say, that you want to share, that, you know, maybe a lot of people kind of don't know, or how they could reach you, and what's the best way to speak about the clicking on the clientele?
I feel like we covered it all here today. Yeah. That's all. No, just kidding.
That's all, folks.
That's all, folks. I am going to be doing the consultations. I sat with myself for a while, and it was really just like an imposter syndrome kind of thing. I felt like I wanted to give people more than what I was able to give. And LaRussell's always like, bro, people love what you're doing. If they didn't feel like it was helping them, then they wouldn't be signing up for it. Just do it. And yeah, he always reminds me when I'm getting in my own way. So yeah, I will be doing the consultations. If you submitted a consultation and I didn't reply, you didn't get rejected. I just stopped taking them for a while, but I'm back.
It's a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot.
Yeah, and I'm planning on building an artist workshop.
Okay. Dope.
Yeah, I want to do like not an artist workshop. My apologies. Like a content management workshop, so I can give people like a real one-on-one walkthrough of what I do in a day and how I've been able to build the system around LaRussell's content. So yeah. And
you went to they had the YouTube Shorts.
Yeah,
thingy?
Yeah, they did have that. I was there.
I know a few people that was there to that one. You know what I mean? I was kind of like, should I not? I was like, should I not? Nah, but I had to already committed to like family stuff that I had to do with my little man. I couldn't take away from that.
It was cool. Yeah, okay. You didn't miss a lot.
Right on. What I want to do, so there's a studio next time y'all go in LA, right, or in LA. I use a studio, a really nice high-end studio that a lot of like big time people go there. Earn Your Leisure uses it too when they're over there. Steve Harvey was over there. A lot of actresses, you know, but it's not even about that. It's really just more so the company itself. I feel like y'all would like would appreciate what they're doing.
Is it like a production studio or like a music studio?
it's a podcasting studio, but they do production from there. It's really centered for podcasts and everything. But there are two individuals. They're 100% Black and brown owned, originally from New York, because their home base is in Soho area in New York, and then they built their LA hub. But I mean, what they're doing right now, and I'm gonna be. His name is Alex. Well, that's not his real name, but his what he goes by is Alex Media. I'm gonna be sitting. I don't want to jinx it, but I'll be sitting down with him soon to talk about it. But that's one spot. Like, if you ever get the chance, and we're like in the same area, would be a good spot to like sit down right there too. I think you guys would do like good work with them.
That would be dope. Yeah, we've been trying to do free game Fridays on the road.
Yeah.
So that would be cool to know we have a
spot.
podcast studio to shoot
I'll tap in with you on that. And then I'll let you guys know off air like about the stuff that I want to do and everything that I think will be really cool.
He telling secrets.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Look at y'all can't tell, but my back is sweating, bro.
It is hot in here. It is hot in here. Sacramento.
Thank you to Tietta.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Y'all know where to find her. Check it out on Instagram, Threads too.
I'll be there. I have been on Threads a little bit.
I know who hasn't.
You know, actually, I manage his Threads account. So if you thought that you was talking to LaRussell, it was me. I was like, do you want to get it? He's like, I don't care about that one. I got enough social media platforms. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to know what you thought about Threads.
Okay. Here's the thing. So I don't got it.
Oh.
I didn't get it, but it's because
they put us in a 360 deal.
I want like simplicity in what I got going on. Like, I need the clear, simple stuff. Like, when I found out that it was a whole nother app, I was like, I don't want to I don't want to have to download another app right now to do all these things, bro. Because I'm between editing, between running, managing, and reaching out to sponsors and building, and then family time. It's a lot for me to. I know it don't seem like much, to just switch from one app to another.
No, it's a lot.
But
I know. Yeah, I know. If Hootsuite doesn't successfully post something through the app, it is the worst for me to have to go onto my phone, because you have to. Like, I do everything from the computer, all of our content. Our files are huge. We're shooting in 6K.
Yeah.
So I have to download it to my phone, first of all, and then I have to upload it to the platform from my phone. It's the worst. I get it.
Yeah, and it's just, I think historically, too, I've always been, like, going late to the party, a little, quote unquote. I've always been a little later to the newest thing. So I'm kind of just, like, letting it brew up for a bit to see what it's about and kind of see if that's... I also, kind of like with Russ, what we talked about last time, was I indulge in things how I indulge in things. Like, so like if I'm not using it constantly or on it like that, then I don't know if it's like that. And I know it's kind of like a bad metric, because you don't really know if you're not on it.
Yeah.
But I just kind of want to see it play out for a bit.
I'm always the type of person that I want to see what it is, and I go and make it. That was me with Chat GPT, all the new AI. Every AI, I went through like the AI. There's like a website where they'll give you a list of all the AI platforms, and I read them all the ones that I liked, and I put them in a spreadsheet, and then I went through and I made an account to each one, and I tested them out.
They're even starting to incorporate it in podcasts.
Yep.
They have this thing called Co-Host AI now. You can pay for $10 a month. It's called Co-Host AI. I don't mean to shit on them, but it's like you pay it, and what they do is essentially transcribe all your audio, right? They make automatic chapters. They make automatic suggested titles for you, and will distro everything for you.
Oh, that's dope.
And but it's kind of like I use the distribution hub for when I upload mine, and it goes up to like literally every streaming platform that already does that.
What do you use?
I use Buzzsprout.
And
I also pay
BUZZ.
Yeah, BUZZ. I use Buzzsprout because it's a one-stop shop. So I had a website. I use Squarespace. I had built up my website for it, and I saw that a lot of traffic. I mean, because once you get Buzzsprout gives you a what's the word I'm looking for? It's essentially a link that gets distributed everywhere. So on this podcast, you can listen to Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Pandora, SoundCloud, Podbean, like over like it's like 100 different spots. iHeartRadio, you can listen to it everywhere on it. Wow. But it gets uploaded to one spot at Buzzsprout. They have a free version, then you got a paid version that allows you like 5 hours a month or something like that. And so I just upload there and it gets distributed everywhere from there, right? And then in that, they have this thing called Magic Mixing, where it's an audio engineer built in for $7 a month. They get your raw audio, they fine tune it, cut out the high temps, the echo, anything like that. And then it takes like a minute, and then you just download it. And that's how you could sync it up with your audio. So that cuts out all the work for me. I don't need to hire or outsource or me have to worry about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plugins or something like that. It just gets the audio, does it for me. So I use Buzzsprouts for that.
Nice.
Distribution, yeah.
That's funny. People have been telling us for a long time to upload Pregame Fridays to like a podcast platform.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I think there's two different ways you could do it. You can monetize through Buzzsprout itself, but you have to build up. It's like you have to get 1,000. You have to average like 1,000 downloads per month and certain amount of episodes, and then you have to have a certain amount a month. And like I think it's like 3 hours a month. Have over 50 episodes, and then have over 1,000 downloads a month. That's like their baseline. So once you get that, which I already had reached, then they start giving you ad inserts. But this is the thing. This is what's kind of fucked, is that they'll give you ad reads based off the ads that they choose, and you could put whether you accept it, and they'll run it on for the next 4 episodes, whether it's a pre-roll, mid-roll, something like that. But they don't tell you how much they're getting from the ad space. They're only cutting you off cents per download. So you might get 10 cents a download, and sometimes you don't know what the ad they're really on you, right? So it's kind of on you to get your own, to search for your own ads, and then that's just the audio aspect of it. And then there's the YouTube apps. And with the video, you have the monetization, and then you have those ads, and then those ones that you could just search for, like you're doing yourself, I'm kind of doing it too, like when I was on Central Valley podcast. He was saying like he reaches out to like the realtors and that kind of thing. That's the route that I'm having to do too for all of that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But that's what I mean too about using the Buzzsprouts, because there's other ones too. There's Anchor. There's a bunch of different ones. But
yeah, I looked through a bunch of them, but I didn't really understand. Well, I'm gonna just be honest. I didn't look that hard.
No. I mean, I did all the research for everything. You know what I mean? And
it was just felt like another thing that we were paying for, and I was like, Pregame Friday is free to upload to YouTube.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and what you could do too is that like Anchor will probably be a good one too, because Buzzsprout is free too. You don't have to pay. It's just you're only allotted so much time a month. So for y'all, I mean, they're usually what?
Like 30 minutes?
30. The first one was 30, right? And then
we try to do 30 for everyone.
Okay, yeah. So if you do that in a month, I mean, yeah, you probably.
I guess that's like 2 hours.
Yeah,
because we do maybe like 4 episodes a month.
Yeah, so maybe the free version of it would be.
You said
good.
5 hours?
Well, 5. I pay for that one. That's like the 5-hour one, because sometimes the podcast will go an hour and a half, and I'm doing it every week.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So, but for y'all, it might be beneficial to do the free version of it. Yeah.
Well, at least we heard it from somebody directly.
Yeah, and then in that too, and then but the ad thing is where it's gonna get kind of tricky though, because then maybe you have to have a certain amount of hours, something like that.
The best ads is the way that he said in Central Valley, like King Kong cut a nice amount.
Mm-hmm.
Just the people that you know, that product that you actually rock with and support, which is important. You feel me? I always see podcasts and they're doing ad reads, and it's like, you don't give a fuck about insurance.
What's cool too, or what I was thinking I would look into when I look at other platforms is like, now that you're saying like, oh, that's the one thing, it's like, okay, well, that's what I'll look for in all the other platforms to see what their ad business is like, since in your experience, that's been the one thing where you're like iffy on with this. Yeah. But it's always great to hear it from the person directly, because I was just on there like, I don't know.
There's pros and cons to it, you know what I mean? But I feel like overall, going out, reaching, and getting your own, I feel like this is the best route.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, this has been great.
Like a kind of revel on.
This is only my third interview ever.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you, T. Shouts out to y'all, man. Anyway, y'all stay safe.
Stay dangerous.